Hi, Brendan. Bear with me as I am learning the Screencast-O-Matic software and giving you feedback on your presentation. So I first wanted to say that I particularly enjoyed the overview that you gave in the abstract. I feel like perhaps having a couple more of the terms broken down here, not necessarily the terms, but there's a lot of information in the abstract that's still pretty condensed, but perhaps breaking it down a bit further besides just her quotes, but to give us some of those key ideas or phrases broken down separately would have been perhaps helpful. And let me go forward a bit to the next slide. Okay, key terms. So I felt like this was one of your best slides just because this gave us a really concise amount of information, and this term was really important to understanding Miller Cochrane's overall article and the context for what Miller Cochrane was writing about. So I found that very helpful, especially the amount of information that you include on the slide. Okay, so on this slide you have both the exigence and the main argument, including the call to action. And so for me, even though all of the information on there is really important, I think it would have been helpful to have one slide talking about the exigence, another slide talking about the main claim, and yet a third slide including the call to action, because it's just a lot of information on one slide. So principles and applications, I think you do a better job here of boiling down the information. It's still kind of a lot of information on one slide. The one thing I had a question about in this slide that I think would have been helpful for you to elaborate on is the second bullet point down where she says students' categorization as basic writers as international students can affect their access to or knowledge of institutional help and language learning processes. So categorization, how is this affecting their access to or knowledge of institutional help? So I wasn't really sure. I needed a bit of clarification there, and I thought that would have been helpful for you to highlight or make that connection for us since we weren't reading the entire article. So key citations, I love that you included the key citations. I think that's really helpful for those of us who are interested in exploring her topic more. The the last thing, as you can see, my your slide ended. That I was missing in your presentation, though, was just kind of your analysis. So you gave us the overview of the article and the key points and terms, but I just really would have loved to then hear you either make some connections to the other pieces that we've been reading this so far this semester and the ongoing conversations that we've been having, and or also include just some of analysis of her argument or the topic uh, and what you thought about it. That's all I have to say. Thanks.